Hello and welcome to What the Tech from Boast, where we talk with some of the brilliant minds behind new and exciting tech initiatives to learn what it takes to tackle technological uncertainty and eventually change the world. I'm Paul Davenport, Boast resident tech journalist, and today I'm thrilled to welcome to the show Garrett Fritz, partner and CTO at MetaCTO. Garrett brings more than 10 years of experience leading software development and digital transformation to his role at MetaCTO, where his team helps business owners create new revenue streams, increase customer lifetime value, and improve profit margins through mobile app design and development. Garrett is especially adept at helping non-technical founders turn ideas into high-performing mobile apps and AI-enabled products, with work spanning wellness, education, sports, and professional services. He's committed to driving sustainable growth and positive change through technology, which is a worthy mission that I can't wait to pick his brain on. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Garrett.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure to have you. So, I gave a little bit of a primer about you in my own words, but I'd love to hear from the source. Tell us about Garrett. How did you get into the space, and what was your path to CTO generally, but Meta CTO ultimately?
Sure. Well, let's start from the get go. I've got an aerospace degree from MIT, which I don't, as you can imagine, being a CTO and tech type things, I don't use a hell of a lot anymore, except to bring it up as early and often as I can. So, there's a big one there. So I did use it for a number of years after college. I was building, helicopter simulators for the DoD. Best job I ever had. Would have never left, except my wife didn't want to live in Colorado. So I up and moved to LA and just took the first job I found in the tech space, and it was kind of off to the races from there. So I really got deep into mobile development and that sort of infrastructure and setup. I've worked for lots of different startups and small businesses in the Silicon Beach area. Some of the products that I ended up spitting out were the official social network of Major League Baseball, Liverpool FC, Slipknot the band if you're into metal, and some others. So, and then that culminated to being kind of the CTO head of product for different startups in the area, and then it got to a point where, well, you know, why not do it for more at the same time? And so there's no shortage of need for technical expertise, especially if you can combine that with some product know-how and stakeholder ownership. So that's ultimately how we got to MetaCTO. I founded it with my partner Chris Fitkin, who has a similar journey, but more along the lines of infrastructure and web and SaaS kind of products. So between the two of us, we sort of cover all the bases that are ultimately needed to deliver a successful product across any industry, any niche, anything like that. And now we're really leaning heavily into our AI agentic workflows and mid-market enterprise deliverables, which is screaming for demand right now.
Absolutely. That is incredible. So, Gary, I'm going to pull back on a few of the points you made there. First off, love to hear MIT. I'm the lone Bostonian here on the Boast team. There used to be more of us, but anytime I get anybody with either Cambridge, Alfred W., or Boston, some kind of reference point, I got to shout that out. So, hope you visit sometime soon. But aerospace, too. Like you said, combined with your co-founder Chris's web and SaaS background, that is covering a wide breadth of expertise from the highly, highly technical to the more not untechnical, but production ready kind of services that you guys could offer. So that is really cool. Also going to pull back on those social networks that you had mentioned too. I am an FC fan, so not going to say my allegiances right now, but was happy to hear that. I'd love to know too, you mentioned Silicon Beach. So no, this is a bit of a diversion, but we hear Silicon name a landmass all over the place. Could you tell me a little bit about maybe the unique businesses in Silicon Beach that you've been exposed to? I know you listed a few of them, but what makes that market maybe different than the Valley, or I'm blanking on what Austin and Salt Lake City call theirs, but Plateau, maybe, is that one of them?
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, obviously the landscape has changed a little bit since COVID and the and more of the distributed workforce, but the centralization was mostly around talent, right? So being in Los Angeles, it was a target-rich environment for just the startup ecosystem and the other businesses that were around there. So it was a convenient place to find capital for startups. It was a convenient place to find resources and talent to hire, to bring on, and co-founders and all that kind of space. There, you couldn't shake a dead cat in Los Angeles without finding a meetup about startups and funding and incubators and all of that. So like that is really, I think, what is the message behind that Silicon preface on any area is that it's just kind of a friendly place if you were to sort of start an initiative. Now, today, if I were going to go, run my startup that is, just a single product and kind of fire off, I don't think I would really care so much about geography and really just, unless it got me close to my first customer, then maybe think about that. But like everything is so comfortable being remote now that yeah, it's less of a big deal, I would say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, we focus so much a lot on this show about just kind of like, not even on this show, I think generally in the tech ecosystem. And it's something that's getting shaken off to your point with the distributed work of it all and with the AI of it all, which is going to be a question I ask later down the line. But the playing field has been leveled more or less with distributed work and remote work of it all. A guy like me in Boston can be the only guy on the Boston team working with my colleagues in Vancouver right now, or Ashley, our leader of CD down in Texas. Like, it's fantastic, and it's something that I've seen firsthand, but the point I wanna draw back to in the silicon of it all too, is that you don't have to be in these hubs, and I think that's a great point that you also emphasized too. People think it's San Francisco, they think it's Boston if you're biotech, they think it's New York if you're everything, and even up to our Canada friends, Quantum, Toronto. Those hubs exist, sure, that's where some of the institutes are headquartered or some of the funding, has historically been localized, but you don't have to necessarily be in one of those hot regions right now to get your idea off the ground. And even to the point of MetaCTO of it all, if it's about talent, you can get that talent from a third party. It doesn't have to be somebody in your neighborhood. So, talking about MetaCTO a little bit, you did give some allusion to, again, your co founder, Chris, in his background in web SaaS. But tell me about some of the organizations that you're working with today, or if there's any really cool projects you could even tell us straight up about, or we can anonymize. I just want to hear about the good stuff that you guys are doing.
Yeah, let's run into it. I mean, there's the one that we're really excited about right now that has been kind of exploding since we've sort of jumped into it. It was not a startup. I mean, the business was around for several years. It was profitable, but they're running their business on spreadsheets, and this is all too common of a story when it comes to these sort of small businesses, mid-market companies. There's operationally critical tasks that are run by some guy made a spreadsheet 10 years ago, and he's the only one or she is the only one that knows how it works. But the business would come to a screeching halt if that spreadsheet didn't exist. And it's not just that spreadsheet; it's that spreadsheet dot version 3 dot final dot final dot final. Use this one, that kind of thing for the version management type stuff. And so that's what we're seeing a lot of right now, and that's kind of the market we're leaning into is that sort of transformation into all that can just be your internal app now or even external. And so a good example of that is our Securing Degrees partner. This is a product that helps students, early students into jumping into college or even grad school find appropriate scholarships from them across the country, world, whatever, and then help them apply to them, get their essays edited, and then submitted on time and give them the best chance to win, and then track that progress. I know it's been a minute since you and I have been in the through school, but if you were ever looking at scholarships, it's a bitch, to actually find them. And unless someone knocks on your doorstep with, "Hey, did you know about this scholarship?" It's unlikely to find it. And because of that, also a lot of scholarship applications are underutilized and kind of easy to win if you know about them and you fit the qualification. So this business had been very manual. There are people scouring Google, interviewing the students on the spreadsheet saying, yes, they have this GPA, they have this demographic, they have this qualification, they have that qualification, and then like looking and reading the actual scholarship pages to see if there's a match. You can imagine that's a huge time intensive project. And when they came to us, they asked for a better spreadsheet. And so what we ended up delivering was an end-to-end SaaS platform that not only automated a majority of the tasks, all of the matching for scholarships to students, but also was that end user facing portal where students could now see the brand, they can interface with it, they can get automatic notifications on deadline updates, new matches, and then and auto create some of the documents for that application process. And this was all we're MetaCTO, but we're really a holistic digital agency, right? We have a creative director, we have product owners, we have QA, we have everything. So really, all you need to bring to the table is domain knowledge of your industry, right? And then that with partnered with our know-how on how to bring successful digital products to bear, they are now onboarding B2B provide customers. So now instead of one student at a time, they're bringing out cohorts, school districts, corporations that have interns, and it's just really exploding and taking off. And now we're building an AI agent workflow for them to help scour, the internet for appropriate scholarships, come up with creative matching that's not, the exact like, okay, well, this is GPA 4.0 or above, but like qualifications like leadership skills and some sort of athletic background or so creativity. And so some that appropriate matching now through AI is possible. And so that's the big upgrade that we're super excited about and going to blast into this thing. And yeah, they're doing very well, and we're very happy to be a part of that story.
I love it. Aside from, like, the nightmares I have about missing my final exam to this day, it was very cool to hear about the degree. Again, securing degrees as your partner, that is incredible. What I love, and I need to selfishly call back to Boast on a lot of this, is that it's an oversimplification, but again, you took a very manual process and I mean, at the heart of digital transformation, it's automating it, or it's at least adding some efficiencies here. So much of what you talked about for what you delivered and making that end-to-end SaaS platform for securing degrees, it's so simpatico with what we're doing at Boast, what our mission is, because we want to make sure that people with that domain expertise, which you said is the critical point, can focus on actually exercising that expertise, actually enhancing that expertise. In our case, it's not getting bogged down in R&D tax credits. No CFO or financial lead is inherently an expert in tax credits specifically. No R&D guy or product development guy wants to speak financial vernacular. They're in the weeds with the tech that they're developing. So Boast meets in the middle to, again, if they're using those spreadsheets because they're old school and so many businesses still are old school, fine, we'll ingest them. We've automated the platform for our own experts to use their brain power to identify the tax credit opportunity there within. I just think to your point, though, so many companies need to retire those spreadsheets. I think that's kind of been the running theme of a lot of these interviews that we've been doing when people talk about how at that early phase, it's still manual. And like the buzzword has moved away from digital transformation. We're now to the AI era, but it's still happening every day. And the way that you took it from a very manual process for securing degrees to now all the way that you can do that agentic matching. You can use AI to really fuel all of that. I think that shows the holistic delivery of what you're doing at MetaCTO, if that's a fair characterization, versus what someone might think of as like a fractional tech partner or a fractional leader. Maybe you could even get into the weeds of that a little bit. I think you explained it well, but this is very much a partnership and not so much a like fractional in the traditional sense. We're stepping in, we're helping clean up some of your processes, and then good luck until you can get a full-time hire. Maybe talk about some of the nuances there.
Sure, and that's a really important distinction. I mean, the name of the company is MetaCTO. So at the end of the day, we are extremely technical partners for the companies that we work with, right? But that's really just a way to like I differentiate us from the rest of the players out there, right? What we really are proud about and excited about is being that holistic partner for everybody. So we're very different from I try not to use fractional CTO as a message, but like people are familiar with the term, and I never really use dev shop because for those things it's input output, right? You tell them exactly what you want, you get exactly what you want, and it's not what you want, right? And so if we ever, like I mentioned, if we built what securing degrees want, they would have a really nice spreadsheet. It would not have transformed their entity. And so it even goes to the extent that like myself, my partner, or director of engineering will show up on pitch decks. Like our headshots are there, our names, our resumes. Like we help secure funding. We help introduce people to customers where appropriate. It's really we take it to the extreme when we say your success is our success, right? It's to such an extent that almost all of our customers who come to us are still with us on a month-over-month basis, and it's really just a matter of if in the case of like the brand new startup where they have like some tranche of money, they may pause for like a month or two, but they're always coming back when they get that established funding. But for those small businesses, mid-market companies, the ones that have revenue, it's just a no-brainer. It's like, yes, this is a line item on our budget. It's so obvious what our ROI is on this, and in some cases, it's like we're going to try to find some way to pay you more so we can get more out of you. Is really our ultimate calling card there. So yeah, and to go back to that classical term of like digital transformation, that's still necessary for a lot of these companies. It's not like, yeah, digital transformation was a big thing for a lot of agencies 10, 15 years ago, but a lot of people didn't do it, right? And they're still
Sure.
running on files, handwritten documents. And so what is happening now with AI, it's not like you can just skip that step. You still need if you have agents around, they still need to access your enterprise data, and that enterprise data can't be in a filing cabinet. So what we're doing now with the AI tools that MetaCTO utilizes is we're just able to turbo that step. Where now instead of spending 100, 200, $300,000 just to get to square one, we're able to square you away in a matter of, in some cases, 1 month, right? Just to get to a place where now you have data that can be consumed. Your operations are already efficient. Everyone's happy and ready to go. And oh, by the way, there's now this extra value add, which is we can throw a bunch of AI agents on top of that to not only bring you more value internally, but expose to your customers in a way of like features and products and all that. So it's just a win-win across the board. And Replit can't do that for you. Lovable can't do that for you. ChatGPT can't do that for you. So it's another way for us to differentiate from the race to the bottom, which is like pricing on MVP development, which is, ultimately, yes, people are, creating those prototypes and stuff, but like that's not us. We are, that holistic, very super technical, engaged partner. That's different from what you can just self-serve yourself.
You hit the nail on the head when you said race to the bottom. Again, I think that like, sure, you could develop a wrapper that's an MVP. You could take a Claude, ChatGPT, what have you, and get some kind of service out of that. But to your point, it's holistic, it's engaged, and it goes back to what you were even saying about how you guys show up on some of those pitch decks, for instance. There's trust there as well. I think because you and Chris have such a wide breadth of expertise, and then you can establish so much trust with these businesses because you're helping them actually tackle technological uncertainty. You're helping them actually derive new solutions and not just putting a bow on it, putting a wrapper around it, or even just, again, they're self-serving and then going down the wrong route. And then a month goes by, they could have already had an MVP ready that's sterling, whereas they're still twiddling away, playing around with the agents, and they don't know what they're doing. I think that is another point I really want to call back to that you said earlier. Let these founders have their domain knowledge. You guys bring in the actual tech to make it an innovation and make it a true solution that is solving new problems. Hope I'm not putting too many words in your mouth, but got very excited listening to a lot of what you said, hence me going into a few
Beautifully
notes.
summarized. I love it.
Yeah, no, but I thought that was cool. And my next question was going to be about the AI of it all and some of the ways that you guys are innovating in the space, because I think it's viewed as something people are afraid of, something people are embracing. I think a lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people think they understand it and don't quite understand the outcomes. So, at the risk of stepping in it, what are your thoughts and how are you guys helping beyond the examples that you gave about again using agentic to do that discovery that is easier and is going to accelerate and turbocharge for securing degrees. But beyond that, maybe speak a little bit more about the AI of it all and where you guys are playing in all of this.
Yeah. So, I mean, what we're seeing, and it's probably obvious, and you sort of stated it to some extent there, is that AI is, and the utilization of it, and specific utilization of it in corporations, companies, small businesses, startups, is still sort of a gray, mushy, Wild West type area. I mean, there's a new service provider popping up every week, a new model happening every day, and the kind of the landscape is dynamically changing. What's not changing is constant pressure from board members, executives, stakeholders saying, why aren't we faster? just use AI, right? And like that's kind of the message, and that pressure from the top is coming all the way down to the lower levels, the implementers, the product owners, the even to some extent some of the VP levels is like, well, I don't know, what do you want me to do with AI, right? And so what you end up having is this hodgepodge of some people are using this tool, some people are using a different kind of process, and there is nothing that's kind of harmonized through that, and it's really hard for those organizations to measure we've implemented this tool, so therefore this process has increased by 70%, and so on and so forth. Like the measurement or KPIs on that are kind of wishy washy. And it's interesting when you look at we were just at this Google Next conference 2 weeks ago, where their whole thing is agentic enterprise, right? And that's the whole thing. And it was all their case studies were kind of aspirational, at least the ones that I saw. And then when they threw up numbers like 20x increase in productivity, it was with an asterisk, we expect to get 20x. So even,
Yeah.
the big players who have teams and teams of people on this are still kind of like, well, we haven't actually realized any gains with this yet. And but the big takeaway that we got from all of that still is that, this stuff, the implementing these tools, implementing this AI is hard. And you've got to be opinionated about it, and you have to have you can't be a solution looking for a problem on this. You have to be identify those pain points, those issues, and then make the determination of, is actually throwing an LLM or an agent on this viable solution, or is it just a pretty demo? And that's what we get, is a lot of pretty demos. But then when you finally go a little bit out of the slot, it's epic failure, and in some cases very dangerous. I mean, with just the wrong statement, you can now be burning through thousands of dollars of credits within 5 minutes, right? So it can be pretty rough out there, and um, that's why you need somebody who's been playing around with it. And so what we do and what we're getting very good at is having that established infrastructure and architecture for how to introduce these agents and do what we have on our site right now and promoting is the enterprise context engineering of it all, right? And that's the same thing that I was talking about with Security Degrees and on these other platforms, is like getting your data and your business and your enterprise accessible in a safe way to these agents, being able to govern these agents so that you have some confidence in what they'll do, their limits, make sure they're permissioned correctly, and then ultimately be able to scale that process. And so a company that comes to us just gets to start on second base because we've already done all that, right? We don't need you to just find out how to even deploy an agent in the first place. We know how to do that. We know the best practice for how to do that. We've actually delivered real results, and it's a big game changer on that end.
Oh my God. Yeah. So many points I want to pull back on. I know we're close to time, so I'll resist it. But even when you just said it can't be a solution looking for a problem, when you're talking about the mandate that comes down at a lot of companies,
Mhm.
yes. I'm not going to say I'm feeling that personally here at Boast. Loving it. But I work in marketing and I work in content. I used to be a journalist. And so you can only imagine how we're being told use AI, we being the royal we, me and my realm. And yeah, that really resonates. But to your point too, it's also about like the safety of it all and avoiding those epic failures because you don't actually know what you're doing, but you are just using AI because it's in the mandate. You guys are actually setting up, like you said, the infrastructure and the architecture so that people can start at step two. You did the troubleshooting, you know how this could actually be deployed in an effective way, and you have the safeguards in place. So I know, again, that's an oversimplification of everything you just said, but very impressed with all of that. Now, knowing that we're about at time, what's next for you guys? I know you've alluded to it already, but what's on the roadmap for the next year, and what can we be excited about when we're following MetaCTO?
Yeah, I mean, we are all in on being at the forefront of this sort of agentic transformation. I mean, all this year and for the foreseeable future, it's going to be that. The large, super large enterprise teams, your Fortune 500 companies, yes, they have their own teams of teams and teams and teams of technical folks who are handling it themselves. But there's a whole bunch of businesses who might not be tech companies in the first place, services companies, lawyers, financial services, that kind of stuff. Kind of a lot of construction that just has a lot of data, no developers, no technical know-how, nor any need to really hire that up. But they're the ones who can benefit the most from these sort of systems. So that's what we're leaning into. We're still offering like the services for, like, you've got a good idea and a little bag of money to do a startup. Yes, we're still at our core, we're very good at that and excited to do that kind of work. But the push that we're going into and our investment on the R&D side and our side is all about that agentic workflows and keeping governed, moderated agents up and running and flowing throughout the enterprise.
It only makes sense. Again, yep, that's where everything's going, at least right now here in May 2026. We'll see in a year or two, but
Yeah,
you know,
there'll be a new buzzword next year, but I can promise
exactly,
you when there is, we'll also be an expert in that.
exactly. When we repackage it, I love it. No, Garrett, this has been a total pleasure. I can't thank you enough for joining us on the show.
A lot of fun. Thanks a lot, Paul.